This video was made possible by the EA Creator Network. Hi everyone, it's Chrissie and welcome back to the channel and welcome to a really fun and exciting video. So I am finally sharing a build with the new Enchanted by Nature expansion pack that hasn't come out yet, but that I have had early access to. So yeah, we're building with the new pack finally. This isn't actually the first build that I've done with the pack, but it is the first build that I'm sharing. And we're building I wanted to build some kind of like grandma, apothecary, fairy, I don't know, like cottage type thing. And then it ended up being a little bit bigger than I thought it would be, so I ended up making it kind of like a small family cottage type thing. And I say small family because it's only 2 bedrooms, so you know, it's for like 2 to 3 Sims. But the building itself isn't all that small. I mean, it's not big, it's not huge, but it definitely has a little bit more space. So there is 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, then there's a living room downstairs, quite a nice big kitchen, and then there's also a dining room slash greenhouse sunroom type bit that I'm actually putting those gorgeous new glass walls on that we got with the pack, and that will be kind of like the greenhouse, kind of greenhousey space, because I figured the Sims that live here are really into the apothecary skill. Maybe they run a like home apothecary or something like that, so I wanted to make sure that they have all of the plants that they would need and everything like that. And also because I figured they would be fairies, so you know, in my brain fairies and plants everywhere kind of just go together. So yeah, I also have the dining room space set up in that little room, and there's also like the apothecary table, you know, all of that fun stuff. But that is basically the entire build. So yeah, there's not a lot of extra space, but there definitely is space if you wanted to, you know, maybe convert one of the rooms, or I don't know. You could also expand this house if you wanted to. I'm building this on a 30 by 20 lot, but you could very easily place it on like a 40 by 30 lot and then expand the yard backwards. So that, you know, if you make the yard a little bit bigger, you could very easily expand the house backwards a little bit, if that's something you wanted to do. And also, the majority of this lot, like at least half of the lot, is just the yard at this point, because I wanted to play around a little bit with a pond and, you know, a lot of like outdoor landscaping and everything like that. So this lot does have a pond, it has a bunch of trees and very magical looking, I feel like, when I did the landscaping. And there's a lot of gnomes around and just like toadstools and like all of that fun stuff. So I really love the way this lot turned out. But yeah, so one of the things you guys will notice is I will be spending a lot of time in the debug menu, because this pack doesn't come with any like proper landscaping. I say proper, and I just mean proper in the sense that it doesn't come in the normal build by category. It actually, all of the landscaping and plants and like decorative things kind of from the world obviously is all in the live edit menu. So because this was a completely separate version of the game, I feel like I should mention that this is a totally separate version of the game. That's why my name is floating around on the screen. It's also why I only had access to the new pack and the base game. But yeah, because of that, I obviously didn't have access to any of my mods. So I don't have better build by so that I can clone debug items and find them easily. So I had to scroll through debug so many times to find all of the landscaping that I wanted. At the end of this build, I feel like I know exactly where all of the landscaping plants are, or at least where all of my favorite landscaping plants are in debug, which is saying something, because I did a lot of landscaping on this build. But yeah, so a lot of the, I feel like a lot of the best items tend to be hidden inside the debug menu these days, especially when it comes to like decorative things for, you know, lots like landscaping, trees, things like that. The best parts are always in the debug menu. I don't know why. I mean, realistically I know why, because the debug items don't have the same poly count. It's a whole thing. Like there's like poly count limits to what they can use for things that are in the pack, that are in the regular category, regular like catalog, whereas for debug they don't have that limitation. So a lot of the debug stuff have different poly counts, and some of them, their footprints don't work properly, so Sims will just walk right through them. They won't register them as actual like items or actual things that are in their way. So that's another part of it, because I know that might be annoying to fix. So, you know, it all would take budget and time, and it's a whole complicated thing. But there's a other part of me that's just like, that is so annoying, because there's so many great things in the build by, or like not build by, in the show live edit menus and like debug menus, that it would just make our lives so much easier if we could access those items a lot quicker without having to use either mods like I do in my normal game, or in this case I had to use cheats to get to them, and I had to re-enable those cheats every single time I opened my game, and like reload it a lot, which is annoying because a lot of the times I'm so used to not playing with, you know, so used to playing with mods that I don't remember half of the cheats a lot of the time. So yeah, it's annoying, okay? Like, it is quite annoying, especially for people who either they don't use mods, or they can't use mods because they're on like console or something. But in any case, I digress. I'm rambling about nothing. I'm not rambling about anything important, but you guys can see the build is coming together. I've been going for a very whimsical, I don't know, I feel like I've been going very whimsical and mismatched with a lot of the builds that I've done. This build and the other build that I've done that was actually the first build that I did with the pack. They both have a very, I don't want to say lopsided, because they're not lopsided, they're kind of weirdly shaped. Yeah, I think I can put it that way. They're kind of like weirdly shaped, and their roofing is they're a little bit more different from how I would normally build. We'll put it that way. I feel like that's a good description. So they are a little bit different. They're a little bit more higgledy-piggledy almost. Like, there's some bump outs that I might not normally have put there. The roof shapes or roof lines are a little bit different, and I feel like I've just been experimenting a little bit more. And the same thing with colors. I've been mismatching a lot of like exterior colors and just using different things, and having like a lot of accent walls outside, which I do normally do, but I feel like with this it's somehow different. Same thing for the interior. We've now moved on to the interior, and you guys will see that it is bright, it is colorful, it's a lot. So inside we've started working on the kitchen, and we're starting off with the kitchen because I kind of wanted to get a base idea for the wood swatches that I wanted to use throughout the house. And for some reason I decided to base it off of whatever wood swatch I go for the kitchen, because I don't know, that's just how my brain worked. And I ended up going with this blue and kind of like orangey red wood swatch, I believe, for the kitchen. And I feel like I stuck with this. I've tried to use this swatch of these counters and cabinets more than once, and the other times that I've tried it, I've ended up changing it last minute to something else. But I feel like in this one I stuck with it. I think I stuck with it because I didn't know why. I really wanted to use the swatch, and I couldn't for the life of me find a way of making it work. So in this build I just decided, you know what, bugger it, I am going to use it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't, but I'm still going to use it. So yeah, so we ended up with like a bluish orangey kitchen swatch for the counters, with like yellow like molding up the top, wood molding, and like colorful murals. And this house is colorful, okay? I warned you guys, it's colorful, it's bright, it's very fairy-esque, and I love it. I like the way it turned out. I've actually been playing with it a little bit. I've been trying to do, now that I have the pack in my normal game, actually, I've been trying to like play through the event that they also started a while back, because I couldn't start that event when it started because I was in the middle of exams. So I've been trying to, whenever I have like a free moment, I've been trying to play through the event, and I'm using a couple of fairies that I have. I'm using the light and dark fairy twins that I also did a creator sim of. I've been using them to play through that event, and they are actually living in this house. So I have been playtesting the house a little bit. So yeah, but I really do like the way this house turned out, and we've moved on to the kind of like greenhouse, sunroom, apothecary, dining room. That's a lot of different things. I don't know what I would call it. Would it be a sunroom or would it be like a greenhouse room? I don't know. I feel like it would be a sunroom because for me in my brain, greenhouse means like all glass walls and like a grass roof. So it's probably more of like a sunroom, I guess. But then again, it's mainly used for growing plants. So greenhouse? I don't know. Whatever. But you guys will have just noticed a little bit of a cut there whilst I got all of the plants situated. And we have all of the plants that we need for the apothecary skill. I have all 3 of the new fairy magical plants. There's like a moody shrub, there's an aura, there's like an aura plant as well, and then there's a like lightning plant that I have all 3 of those in there as well. One of them is on the bookcase. But yeah, and I have all of the other like normal plants that Sims would need for the apothecary skill. I also have a tree. That's a lemon tree because I noticed that quite a few of the apothecary like recipes require lemons in them for some reason. So I wanted to make sure that I had a lemon tree. And then I'm just doing a bunch of like decorating, a bunch of like ivy on the walls, and we have our little apothecary corner as well with the apothecary station and like a shelving unit and bookcase and all of that stuff. Same with the dining room. I also put the flower press like kit type thing. It's one of the new things that your Sims can do with the pack. It's like a little box, and if you use that, they can actually press flowers and like candles and things like that to make like decorative items, which is really cool. I really like the way that is used, and I've used a few of those items from the debug menu, like the completed items. I've used a few of them to decorate throughout this house. I'm obsessed with the candles, by the way, so I'm using those candles everywhere. And we've now moved on to the living room. Now you'll see the way this living room is oriented. I originally wasn't going to put a TV anywhere in this living room because I figured, why would I? And then last minute I just decided, you know what, maybe we can sneak a small TV into the corner. So at the end of the day, I end up having a little end table in the corner next to the couch where I end up putting a TV. So if you want to watch TV, you'll have to sit on either one of the 2 armchairs. Or you could probably swap some of the things around if you really wanted to. But I figured that for this living room, the TV wouldn't be the focus point of the room. And I really wanted the fireplace exactly on that wall. So I placed that down first and then, you know, tried to figure out where everything else would go. So for me, the TV was kind of like an afterthought. But obviously you can feel free to change up, you know, the furnishing in this house or the layout or anything like that, however you want. If you wanted to play with this and it doesn't fit, you know, what you need. But with that said, the build will be up in the gallery as soon as the pack comes out tomorrow. Hopefully this video will be out on Wednesday, so yeah, the pack will be out tomorrow. But yeah, as soon as the pack is out, I will upload this build as well as the fairy twins that I created, and I'll also upload the other build that I have done already. Even though the video isn't out yet, I will upload the build to the gallery for you guys, so you can kind of get like a little bit of a sneak peek if you wanted to. But yeah, this build is also only base game and the new pack, obviously, because I only had access to the base game and the new pack. So, you know, clearly it would only be that. I also, by the way, I did cut out me doing the bathrooms just because they're very basic. We do have some new bathroom items. We have a new shower, tub, sink and toilet with the new pack, but I feel like they're bathtubs, they're bathroom items, they're not all that exciting. I mean, they look really pretty, they're very niche, kind of, like, they clearly would be used in some sort of magical home. I don't know if you would have a toilet, like a rock toilet with moss growing on it in a normal suburban house. Obviously, you wouldn't have that. So it's kind of specific to houses that have a little bit more of a whimsical feel to them. But I do really like the items, especially the sink. I will be using the sink a lot. The sink is a little bit more versatile. And I also ended up using it in the kitchen as well because it blends in perfectly with the counters. So yeah, the sink will be used a lot. The toilet, the shower and the tub, maybe a little bit less because, like I said, they're all like rock based and they're all like made out of rock and they have like moss and like stuff like that growing on them. So they're very they're very specific, if that makes sense. But I had to cut those out because it was boring. It wasn't necessary, and I'll show it to you guys at the end of the video in the tour in any case. We've also done the main bedroom as well. So we have a gorgeous new double bed that I am obsessed with. It's probably one of my new favorite double beds. I also have a little like fireplace in that room, and then just a big mirror for them. We also have a dresser, very basic bedroom stuff, I guess. And then the last room in the house that we're going to be working on is this kids bedroom. So we don't have a single bed for this pack. We don't have a new single bed with the pack. We do have a toddler and a toddler bed and an infant crib with the pack, but we don't have a new single bed, which is, it kind of feels weird to me because we have a double bed, and why not just give us a single bed that's kind of like in the same style, like give us a single 4-poster bed and like just use kind of like the exact mesh for the double bed, just smaller. I know it's not that easy, but you know what I mean. Like, so give us a matching set, because we have an infant and a toddler bed, so why not a single bed as well? It feels a little bit weird. But I ended up just using that really expensive base game bed in a brown swatch and just making it work. So there is a kid's bedroom, but in my head I thought, you know what, maybe the Sims that live here, maybe this isn't for a family. Maybe it's like a grandparent or like grandparents, and then they just have a bedroom all set up for their grandchild that comes to visit them. Maybe the grandchild stays with them often. Maybe their parents like travel for work or something, and the grandkid stays here a lot, so they have a whole bedroom set up for them with toys and everything that they would want. So I don't know, that was just a idea in my head that I had. But obviously, like I said, you can change up the furnishing however you wanted them to be for whatever family you have. But we've now moved on to the exterior, and there are a couple of cuts in the landscaping just because, like I said, I spent a lot of time in debug, and a lot of time was just trial and error and trying to find stuff or trying to figure out what would work, what wouldn't work, you know, all of that stuff. So yeah, I had a lot of stuff to do. But the landscaping is a little bit overgrown. It's very colorful. It's very, not super colorful. There's mostly just green everywhere. But there's a lot of plants. There's a lot of different plants. It's quite overgrown, and I love it. I love it so much. You guys will also notice that the pond that I have right at the front, the small little pond that's right by the walkway, that along with one of the lamps that I used in the main bedroom, I will be using it outside again as well. It kind of looks like a little house with like toadstools and stuff growing in it. It kind of looks like a terrarium, but not. I don't know how to explain it, but I'll show it to you guys at the end in the tour if you wanted to get a proper idea of what I'm talking about. As well as this fairy house that I'm putting out now that looks like a tree trunk. Those three things are actually part of the early purchase items for this pack. So if you purchase the pack before, I believe sometime in August, I'm not exactly sure what the date in August is, but if you purchase the pack sometime before sometime in August, I think, then you will actually get those three items along with it as well, which I really like them. I will be using them again. But if you guys, find this video years down the line, or download this build years down the line, and you don't, have those items, don't worry. It's just the fairy house and a couple of decorative things. That is the light. That's the light that I'm talking about. The one that's on the little picnic table. I also put down a tree from the Spruce Almighty. If you guys know Patchy from Seasons, I believe Spruce kind of works similarly to that. He's also some kind of like garden pal that your Sims can befriend and talk to, that will help them in their garden and things like that. There's also a lot of lore tied to him as well, from the whole like Innisgreen lore and like around fairies and everything like that. So there's a lot of lore basically in this pack. A lot of stuff that ties back together, ties into different like neighborhoods, different items, different parts in neighborhoods where you can find out more about the town and everything like that. But yeah, with all of that said, you guys, we're almost done. I'm just putting down some more landscaping, some little more detail-y bits. But with all of that said, we are going to go ahead and jump on into the game, and I'm going to show you guys the little tour of the build in case you wanted to see it in a little bit more detail. There are also a couple of things that I did change up as well, so yeah, I'll show you that as well. I just added a few things and moved a few things around as I playtested, just, you know, to be sure that everything works and there's some you know, get everywhere. But with all of that said, let's go on ahead and jump on into the game and take a proper look at this build. Okay, so here we are with the finished build, and I love the way this looks. Obviously, this is in my normal game now, so I have my reshade on, which I love. So the colors are a little bit different, but I love it. This is the lot at like sunset, almost like evening time. I found that the lighting on a couple of these lots are a little bit weird. Like for this, the sun comes from the back, which is kind of annoying. And obviously because there's like a lot of really big trees around, there's a lot of shadows. But I found that the evening light for this lot in particular is absolutely gorgeous. But here are those extra like early purchase items that I talked about. We have this pond, this lofty leaf pond. We also have this light, which is the luminous Mycena lantern or something. I don't know what it's called. Yeah, Mycena lantern. And then we also have the disguised fairy dwelling home. So I do just want to say that I will be changing some of this before I upload it to the gallery. Like this needs to swap around a little bit. These flowers need to move that way, and then this needs to stand like there to be functional, just so that there's nothing underneath it blocking it. But yeah, that's the only like routing issue that I found. But yeah, so this is our little home. I absolutely love the way it turned out. I love all of the details. I love all of the ivy and stuff like that. I also put some flowers on the roof because of course I did. Another thing that I noticed with the pack as I was building, not with this house in particular, but the other build that I've done, is that a couple of the ivy pieces actually block doorways if you put them above doors. So that's just a little bit of a heads up. In particular, the only two that I found that blocks doorways is this blooming veil, this one, and then the vine vignette. I don't know how to say that, but this big one. If you put them above doorways, they do tend to block doors. I've tried moving them around a bit before, and I tried to play around with it, but it kept blocking the doorways. The other ones I haven't noticed any issue with though, so that's just a little heads up. But going back to this build, so obviously we have our little entryway. I used a couple of base game event things as well. Like I used this bike that, I don't know, I can't remember. I feel like this came with Cottage Living early purchase, but it was added to the base game, so it was in the base game. So I used that, but that's not super important. And then this tree as well. I can't remember where this tree came from. The Bramblewood Delightful tree. I feel like this is also a Cottage Living thing that was added to the base game. So yeah, I don't know. I really wanted to use it because it makes it look like, you know, it's a little gnome house. And I felt like that would be so fitting. But if you guys don't have that, then obviously you can replace it with any other tree. It's not functional or anything. It's just a pretty tree. But yeah, so we have our outside. I feel like I'm all over the place. But yeah, we have our little outside. We have a little picnic table. We have our garden pal. We have our little pond as well. These things obviously disappear in live mode and they just have their effects. So we have some ducks, some fish, you know, all of that fun stuff. We have a couple of plants outside as well, along with the fairy house. And then over here on the little patio, we just have a grill, some seating, and I added in a chess table just because I figured, you know, gameplay wise, it's always useful to have. But then going on inside, as you walk in, obviously you walk in right into the bright, colorful living room space. We have a like end table over there, a console table. We have obviously all of the seating. We have a little hot chocolate like tray over there. We have our TV in the corner with our big fireplace and bookshelf. There is a full bathroom downstairs, so there's one with a shower. This is the shower that I was talking about that has, like, you know, the moss and plants and stuff on it. Probably not something you would use in a regular suburban house, but I love it. We also have our toilet. Again, not suburban house vibes, but again, it fits perfectly with this pack. We also have a sink and all of that fun stuff. And then through here, through these big glass double doors, we have our, I don't know, I wanted to say greenhouse, but it's kind of like sunroom, dining room, apothecary room type thing. But yeah, so we have our dining table, obviously. We have all of the apothecary plants that your Sims would need, and they can access all of them, even the ones like over here on the corner. All of the corners they can access. Here are the debug. I don't know why it's showing up as debug. It's supposed to be the two new plants from two of the new plants. I don't know why it shows up like that. I'll have to playtest that and fix it before I upload it to the gallery. But they're supposed to be the moody shrub and the aura plant, and then that one is supposed to be the lightning plant. Yeah, I don't know why it's showing up as debug. I'll have to fix that. But yeah, we have our apothecary like station over there by the staircase, and then through these double doors we actually have our kitchen. So I figured in my head maybe this was some sort of other room, and then they added the extension and like just broke it open and made it one big room. But yeah, so here we have our kitchen. Everything that you would need that was in the base game. You know, now that I have the other packs, I might add some other things if I wanted to. I don't know why this... Okay, so this build is being glitchy. I will fix it before I upload it tomorrow. But yeah, so if I had my other packs, I would add maybe other like appliances in here. But I do like the way it turned out. It's still cute, still whimsical, and I do feel like it still fits in. But going upstairs, we have our big landing area, obviously. And then we have a computer up here because I figured, you know, even though this house might not be very technology oriented, having a computer in a Sims build is a must. I feel like they need computers for everything. So I knew I needed them to have a computer. So they do have one. And then up here we have another bathroom. Like I said, this one though has the big corner bathtub. That is, it's pretty. I love it. It's not very versatile, but I can definitely see myself using it in like spa builds as well. So yeah, we have that. And then we have the main bedroom right next door. Very bright, it almost feels a little bit cluttered with the like really high bed and then like all of the mural wallpapers and things like that. But it also feels so cozy that I love it. It feels busy and bright and like there's a lot going on, but it also feels magical, and I'm here for it. But yeah, they also have their own fireplace and then a dresser over there in the corner. New big mirror. I love this bed so much. But yeah, so this is the main bedroom. And then right next door we have the kids room, like I said. So we have a base game bed that I just used. These are some of the prints that you can make with that like flower pressing, I don't know, like that thing, this thing, the nature press, that's the word for it. But yeah, they also have a little hanging, I guess, like a rack for their clothes. They have a dollhouse and then a bookshelf and a little chair. And the only reason I'm using this dollhouse in its normal default size, normally if I build with them, I would size them down once. The only reason I'm not doing that is because if you have a fairy sim, they can actually shrink down and play in this dollhouse. They can sleep in this dollhouse. So that is the only reason I'm keeping it as its normal default size, so that if you wanted to do that, you could, without there being any sort of like weird glitches or visual bugs or stuff like that. But yeah, though, that is basically this entire house, you guys. Here's a little floor plan overview of the second floor and the first floor in case you wanted to see that. But yeah, that is it for this speed build, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, if you do want to download it, it will be up in the gallery as soon as the pack is out. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, feel free to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell as well to be notified of whenever I upload a new video. I do have some more videos planned and things that I'm really looking forward to creating, so definitely feel free to stick around if you want to see more stuff like that. Even more creator sims. I have more creator sims planned as well, and obviously a lot more builds that I want to do. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, I hope you're having a great day and a great week, and I will talk to you all in my very next video. Bye everyone.